All right, here we go. Thursday night, Knicks. Salute to Knicks Nation, everybody watching worldwide. CP from Knicks Fan checking in. One more day until the Knicks preseason kicks off. We waited 9 months for this. Tonight's episode, we're going to give our preseason predictions. Knicks Fans of the Roundtable is definitely back. Joining me on my panel tonight, I got my guy, Pee Wee, the man of 1,000 nicknames, a.k.a. Big Stacks Porzingis of House of Highlights. Through the Wire podcast, my guy Alex Trataros, the Tratacaster, back again, and making her debut is Ashley Nicole Moss from the All In with Ashley Nicole podcast. How we feeling, guys? How we feeling tonight?
I'm good.
Absolutely, man. So one more day until Knicks preseason kicks off. A lot of storylines abound. P, I'm going to kick it off with you, man. What's some of the storylines you most looking forward to seeing this season?
Julius Randle, man. Ancient what happened to Julius Randle.
Let's get to the point, Pete. Let's rip the Band-Aid off. Let's get right to it.
And Julius Randle isn't a bad basketball player, okay? Yeah. But, drafting Obi and the direction we're going, there's no reason to have him. And when I look around the landscape of the NBA, it's not really many teams that I see could use Julius Randle, but, he has to go. So I'm interested to see where that goes. And our point guard position, man, what are we going to do about the point guard position? So those are my top two things going into this season.
Yeah, I'm with you, man. The whole Julius Obi dynamic has to be answered. You know what I mean? I saw the pathway for them to get Obi in the draft. I thought, from what I heard, they were trying to trade Julius all off season. I told y'all that the Conley deal, they wanted Conley. It wasn't CP3. The whole CP3 thing was smoke. It was Conley that they were trying to get in a salary dump. Doesn't seem like that door is open. So now they have Obi. Now they have Julius. Both play the 4. You heard Alan Hahn on the show talking about the possibility of them playing the 3. I don't see it that much. You know what I'm saying? I don't see it that much. You could have maybe a small ball situation where they're both playing the 4 and the 5. I don't know. I'm not so sure, but I'm with you. How they play out the whole Obi and Julius dynamic is going to be interesting. And I'm with you on the point guard battle, man. Peyton is back. You have DSJ, who is the coach is singing his praises. He's a Tom Thibodeau type of point guard. Not had some terrible years so far with Dallas, and then coming to the Knicks, a lot of injury, a lot of setbacks. So interested to see how he comes out and how they use Frank. How they use Frank, whether it's at the wing, whether it's at the 1, the 2. Frank came out today, said he'll play both guard positions. Tibbs has said he loves his versatility. So it didn't sound like he had Frank penciled in at the 1 or the starting point guard, but it also seems like he's going to be using a lot of different rotations throughout the year anyway, so we'll see how it plays out. Al, what about you? What's your storylines to watch for?
Well, Pete definitely hit it on it first with the point guard situation. That's just going to be very intriguing going into the season. But the other one is Mitchell Robinson, man. You got Mitchell Robinson, all this news about Mitch, whether or not he's serious enough, whether or not is he going to take that next step? You got the Nerlens Noel battle that everyone's trying to hype up now between both of those guys. So I want to see how that plays out this season, if he's going to take that next step and be a true starter.
Yeah, I mean, and then people, there's some Instagram stories going around with Mitch. People ask me, CP, what does it mean? What does it mean? I have no idea what it means. You know what I mean? To me, it's some young boy energy. I can't, spend time trying to interpret what's going on with him. Maybe it's Nerlens starting, and maybe it's his person. But we got to see. But like I said, I think the whole theme of camp was, they want Mitch to get serious and come prepared every day, come to practice ready to work. Tibbs has said it multiple times. I've heard the same thing. And I think it's just the same tone with Mitch. So hopefully he could get right, man. That's my guy. Ashley, I'll swing it over to you. What's the storylines you're most interested in this season?
I mean, you guys hit a bunch of them, but for me, I'm excited to see Tibbs as a coach. I'm ready for this franchise to have some stability. I'm ready for them to have a coach that we can see for many, many seasons. I'm hoping Tibbs is that guy. One of the things that I've always been disappointed about being a Knicks fan and just watching the franchise over the years is just, it's like a revolving door. There's no stability within the franchise, and it makes it very, very difficult for you to develop anything, to develop players, to develop camaraderie, to develop a team that can hopefully win and win continually. It's hard to develop chemistry when you're not with the same guys you were last season, the next season, and then your coach changes, and then your ownership changes. So for me, the biggest storyline going into the season, obviously, I'm not expecting the Knicks to make a playoff run. I'm just looking for any signs of stability that this franchise, this team is heading in the right direction, that maybe next season, the season after that, we can start seeing that come into fruition, and we can hopefully be a team that can start competing. It is about that time. We have been rebuilding long enough. I'm over it. I don't want to build anymore.
No, that's facts, man. The stability is something that we haven't had in 20 years, since Jeff Van Gundy. You know, since Jeff Van Gundy was here, every coach came in and out the door. Mike D'Antoni was actually the longest tenured coach since Van Gundy. I think that was only like 4 years. Everybody else has done, 2.5 here and there. It's been a constant revolving door, man. So I hope that, Tibbs is going to lay that foundation, the infrastructure. We got a number of assistant coaches coming in, development staff being built up. So I hope they're truly about their word, that they, the key word that they've been using all season has been teaching. They brought in Woodson, they brought in Kenny Payne, they bring in Aaron Brooks, Dave Ehrman, who has a reputation for defense. They want to teach these young guys. So hopefully, they back that up for sure.
Definitely.
P, what are you looking for in Tibbs this year, man? You're a Chicago resident, so you familiar with Tibbs from even before the New York days. What do you see from Tibbs this season?
First and foremost, defense. And that's another reason why the Julius Randle thing was my first thing, because that's just not a thing that he does. And if you're trying to play Obi Toppin at 3 and him at 4, then defense can go out the window. So I don't see that at all.
Yeah.
Even with Julius Randle playing a small ball 5, which I think is his future in the NBA,
me too.
Under Tibbs, that just won't work. And then when you think about a guy like Frank Ntilikina, who just hasn't happened to find his footing in the NBA, I think that can happen under a coach like Tibbs. And then last but not least, that point guard position that we talked about, Dennis Smith Jr. is in the mold of like a Derrick Rose. Obviously, he's not, MVP Derrick Rose or anything, but when you talk about, uber athletic point guard who can get both feet in the paint, make defenses collapse, I think he can do that. And hopefully Tibbs can unlock something there.
Yeah.
And that'll be the start, like a domino effect for us. If Dennis Smith Jr. can come out and be that aggressive point guard, I think the rest is history as far as us moving in the right direction. I'm with Ashley. I'm not hoping for a playoff run or anything like that, but just some stability, some consistency. And, some building blocks to hopefully one day hope for a playoff push. So, hard-nosed, blue-collar team, man.
Facts. That's a fact, man. We need that identity, Al. Hopefully Tibbs comes in and helps us instill that identity. Sure. I still think, though, Al, he's going to struggle just like every other coach here with the lineups, and he said it. And I think he's trying to buy himself some time as well. He said that, you could see a lot of different rotations going well into the season, which you kind of expect, based on the short off season and everything like that. Very unorthodox circumstance, but I think he's going to struggle to find the right mix of the right balance offensively, defensively, who's going to be the point, who's going to be able to defend on the perimeter, how to best, again, utilize Mitch and Obi. How do you think they work that out, Al?
I don't know, man. That's going to be pretty interesting to see, right? You want Obi out there at the 4 because he can score. He can stretch the 4. That's what we want out of this team. We didn't have any offense last year. We're in the basement. So you hope that Obi can just bring that from Dayton and just bring that to the team instantly. And with Mitch, hopefully he can hide some of Obi's flaws on the defensive end, just being a rim blocker that he is. Hopefully he can take his game to the next level. Maybe he gets a little mid-range shot going in there. Maybe get him to open some open floor spacing so they can just roll to the rim much easier than what we had, which is just a clogged paint. That's what I think we need for both of them to just coexist together. Obi giving the offense, Mitch really supplying the defense with just some nice lobs at the other end.
Yeah, I agree with you, man. I think it's hard for me to see Obi getting a ton of minutes out the gate, like I said, just because of how fast everything is coming together. So I still think you still gonna need Julius's offense. That's 20 and 10, bro.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You can't just put that on the bench and say, well, we're gonna go with the young guys. You still need Julius's productivity out there. And so again, it's gonna be interesting to see how they balance that. And is there a trade out there to be made for Julius Randle come mid-season, when then you start to see Obi get a bulk load of the minutes? So.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that was one of the things when Obi was drafted. That was the first thing that came to mind. Obviously, these guys are not going to play together for the long term. One of them is going to get traded, and obviously that person's going to be Julius Randle. I think, though, that I don't have a problem with Obi if, Tibbs decides to bring him off the bench sometimes to have him learn. I don't think, again, this is a learning curve for the Knicks. I think that's one of the benefits of not necessarily being a playoff contender is that you can kind of take a back seat and go at your own pace. And that's what the Knicks are able to do right now. They don't have the pressure of having to compete for a championship. They don't have that window that's closing. They also don't have that pressure of being a playoff team. If they make it bottom seed to the playoffs, it would be like a miracle, but it's not expected. So when things aren't expected of you, it really helps a team kind of learn and grow, which is what the Knicks need to do. I'm expecting this Knicks team to not be somebody that's going to compete this season. Even next season, if they're not a contender, I'm okay with that. I just want a team that starts to build in the right direction. And I think this is the season you start doing that.
True indeed. True indeed. So to everybody in the chat, hit that thumbs up button for you boys. How are we looking? We got over 1,000 people in the chat. Hit that thumbs up button. You know what to do. Salute to everybody once again. Salute to everybody watching on Facebook as well. And let's take some calls before we get into our preseason predictions. Let me hear from my guy Will from LI real quick. Will, what's going on, bro?
Hey, what's going on, CP, Perry, Alex, Ashley? How you guys doing this evening?
Hi.
How you doing, bro?
What's good, Will?
Good. Yeah, man. First things first, bro. We got to talk about the debacle that you just set off on Twitter after the last show. Man, let's just say this, dog. Let me just say this, man. I don't understand. Look, one thing is, I'm sure I ain't got to tell you because, you're older than me and everybody here probably is. It's just like, with success comes the haters. And what I thought was just crazy. Like, obviously, nobody wants to paint Mitch into a bad light. But, you got to show him tough love. Like, he needs to be able to, this is not a rodeo anymore. This isn't a circus that Fizdale was running. This is a team now. Okay? Tibbs is going to hold these guys accountable. You got to come to practice. You have to show up, and you have to do your job. So it's just like, it's not to say, I'm like, everybody knows, like, if everybody that was hating, if they did watch the show, they would know how you feel about Mitch and how you're supporting him. Mitch, please, and your shirts and all this other stuff. So it's just like, why would you purposely want to paint him in a bad light? You got a source, and then shout out for you for getting sources, and you showed the source. So I don't really see what all that hate was about. Just know that you gave us a platform here to talk about our Knicks. So if it ever gets crazy in those Twitter streets, we got your back. Just know that.
Oh, no, I feel you, bro.
That was my little rant. So
appreciate it. You got more. All right, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, that was my bad, yeah. For this season, man, I'm not expecting too much. Just like Ashley said, I'm expecting the worst. I'm thinking that DSA is going to build a brick house. Frank is going to fall off. No, not Frank. Knox is going to fall off the cliff. I mean, the only positive plays I'm looking forward to is RJ and Oak. So whatever this season brings, I'm ready for it. Just because we're at rock bottom, can only go from here. Y'all keep doing your thing.
Can't get worse.
Later.
P, you look perplexed, man.
All for preparing for the worst. But we got to have some hope in these guys, man. We can't come in saying that Kevin Knox is going to fall off a cliff. Like, we got to have some type of hope in these young guys because they're the future. Like, these are the people that we made, so we need them to be useful in some type of way. I'm not saying we got to hope that Kevin Knox is going to be an all-star someday, but we need him to be a rotational piece because, I mean, the more these guys fail, the more it backsets us. You know what I mean? So I want us to have some hope. Realistically, are all three of these guys, Frank, Dennis, and Kevin, going to make a leap? Probably not. But if we can hope and get one, I think that's good enough, So just have some hope in the young guys, man. Don't write them off yet.
Yeah, I mean, listen, it's going to be a tough stretch, like I said, jumping out the gate, right? They got to get chemistry together. They got to figure out lineups. And they haven't played in 9 months of organized ball. So it's going to be ugly. It's going to be very sloppy. Yeah. And that's what I would expect going into tomorrow's game. But at the same time, we were kind of talking about this before we went live. Like, it's not an official bubble But the fact that you have no fans, especially at MSG, probably the most hostile place they ever gonna play in.
Yeah.
You know, that's a plus for a lot of these guys, like a DSJ, like a Knox, like a Frank, who it seems like confidence is a very big issue with them. You know what I mean? Now they just get to go in. It's almost like a pickup game, like they in the gym, just go out and bowl. And I think that's going to be big, especially for DSJ, Kev, Frank. You know, look at a lot of the guys that balled out in the bubble. You know, Gary Trent Jr., even MPJ. You know, yes, he had a lot more minutes, but you saw a lot more confidence in a lot of guys when they went into the bubble. There was no, you know, fans in the atmosphere, no heckling, and they just went out and just did their job. So I think that's going to benefit a lot of these young Knicks for sure.
Yeah, definitely agree with that. Just to piggyback off that, you know, I spoke to a lot of guys who were in the bubble, and, you know, that was the main thing, was that it kind of evened the playing field for a lot of guys, for a lot of teams rather, who were not expected to perform that well in the playoffs, because you remove a lot of the quote unquote distractions. There is no home court advantage. There is no traveling. There are no fans. And that can be the most hostile part of a game, especially in the Garden, especially in a city like New York. So again, it's going back to that learning curve. You have all the ingredients there to have a really great learning season, if you will. You know, the game's essentially going to be a bubble without the restrictions. You will still be able to go home and see your families and your girlfriends and your wives and, you know, whoever you have at home, your friends. You'll be able to stick to your routine in terms of working out. You know, your nutrition, your diet's not going to be restricted. You don't have to eat certain foods. You have your personal chef. So it's the bubble environment in the sense there's going to be no fans. That home court advantage, you lose that, but you don't have that mental weight on you like they did in the bubble, because you're completely removed from your environment and the things that you're used to. So I completely agree with you. I think that's only going to be beneficial to these guys. Now, we don't know if no fans is going to continue throughout all 72 games this season, but at least for the first half, it's definitely going to be great for them. And I'm excited. I feel that we're lucky to have this moment where they can kind of learn it and do that without the stress of the fans.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you there. And then, listen, Will, on Will's first point, listen, it is what it is, man. People got pissed at me. They thought I was trying to drag Mitch out. I basically just came out and said, you know, basically what was being reported in the papers, which people took umbrage with, from what I'm hearing, is true. That's all I said. People got pissed. Oh, he bringing him down. He trying to drag him, this, that, and the third. They didn't like the fact that I said DSJ and Alfred were in the runnings for the point. I didn't say Frank wasn't starting. I didn't say they named the starter. I just said, here's who's the favorites right now. And they got big mad at your boy, bro. They were pissed that Knicks Fan TV had sources. I don't know. What do you want me to say, man? What do you want me to say, Al?
I don't get it, man. I think everyone just wants Frank Ntilikina just to be the starting point guard and to call it a day. I think the Frank hive is really just out there in the streets right now. They're just chanting for this kid. After they saw the Alan Hahn interview, man, they just want Frank just to be that guy at this point. Just that's what it seems, man. And like with regards to Mitch, you know, you're just reporting. You're hearing. You're telling what you're hearing. It's not saying that these are like.
That's it.
You know, this is what I feel about Mitch. You know, I don't. That's not what you're saying. You're just saying this is what my sources are giving me, and this is what is going on in camp right now. That's and it. Us as fans should just be like, all right, you know, and then give us like we either take it and be like, well, now we have like a better, like clear version of like what Mitch needs to do, or we can just, as your haters just came out and said, like, yo. What are you even talking about, man? Mitch is the greatest thing on earth. He can do no wrong. Yo, we need more of that Mitch interview stuff. Come on.
That's all, that's man. But listen, I didn't even have to say anything because people like Will, people, you know, they were swinging on the haters on Twitter, bro. I didn't have to say anything. There was haters getting dragged for days, bro. I was good to go, man. So it's all fun, man. If you're not having fun doing this, you're doing it for the wrong reason. So I definitely appreciate the animosity that came my way. Let me hear from my guy Triple M. Triple M, what's going on, bro?
Yeah, what's going on, my boy?
What's good, my dude? How you feeling, man? How you feeling, bro?
Yo, P, Ashley, what's good? Hey, yo, what's going on, my people? Yo, let me make a quick point real quick. You know, like everybody's saying today, we're not expecting much from this season. We just want to see some growth from the people, from the team, the young guys. You know me, CP. I'll be sipping on my little tequila here on the side. So we win one preseason game. I'm already talking about playoffs, man. So don't get me started. Right? CP, I want to bring up a quick point with you, though, my guy.
Mm-hmm.
You see, CBA is going to go crazy. You know, nobody could expect this pandemic I want to hear your thoughts about if the NBA brings this amnesty back, man. What do you think about us picking up contract here and there, man? I heard the amnesty. I haven't heard much about it, but I needed to hear my thoughts, people.
Yeah.
And you already know what's up. Triple M in the building. I'm going to holler at y'all, my guy.
Triple M, the tequila animal. That boy's a tequila feed, man. That's my guy, man. He's always turned up at MSG. Love hanging out with him. I don't know, Al. Did you hear anything about them bringing the amnesty back? I didn't hear anything about that, about the CBA.
I think it was just like a nice talking point.
Yeah.
During the break of thinking like, what could you do with the amnesty clause if it came back? That's what I kind of gathered from that whole experience. I don't think it would be nice, Joakim Noah would be amnestied if we had that. I don't really know too much about it. I don't think it could be. I'm not really sure, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I didn't hear anything about that one way or the other. I'll try to bring back Brandon Williams, who's the assistant GM of the Kings, the old assistant GM. I'll see what he's hearing, but I haven't heard anything about that. Knicks still have $18 million in cap space left, man. So again, if they don't reach the floor, which is I think they have about $8 to $10 million left to spend. If they don't reach that by the end of the season, then that difference will get spread across the roster.
Yeah.
So we'll see. I think they're going to be sitting idly by. We'll talk about the Harden stuff later on. I think they could try to, make their way as a third team to try to, take on some salary and make that Harden trade happen. So they got a lot of options. Definitely have a lot of options. Preseason awards, man. Who's your 6-man prediction for this season?
6th man of the year for the Knicks this season. I'm going with Austin Rivers, man.
Ooh, okay.
Wow.
I just think that when Austin Rivers, his history, when he's given an opportunity, he takes it and he runs with it. You know what I mean? This is a unique situation for a guy like Austin. He's never been on a team like this where he can kind of gun.
Yeah.
He's always played with like Chris Paul,
right.
Blake Griffin, DeAndre Jordan when he was an All-Star. He went to Washington, played with Bradley Beal, John Wall, Houston, Chris Paul and Harden, Russ and Harden. And even early in his career, when he was drafted by the Hornets, they tried to like force him to be a point guard when he's a scorer. So I think coming on this team, taking that responsibility of trying to be a leader and establishing yourself. We saw that with his first interview, said a lot of good things and won a lot of Knick fans over. And I think he just has to fall in line to nobody. I mean, we don't have a solidified all-star or solidified go-to guy. Look at what Mook did last season. I'm not saying he's going to mirror anything that Mook did, but I just think the type of role of I can shoot the ball and be me and play with that mentality without anybody, to answer to. I think when you're playing with a guy like Harden that anytime he claps the ball, you pretty much have to give it to him or Chris Paul, anybody like that. It's a lot different than when you come here and, it's Frank Ntilikina on the side of you or Kevin Knox. You're just going to go. And I think Austin Rivers is going to have some big nights in the Garden. I think he's another player that can benefit from no fans. And I think just having nobody to answer to again is going to allow him to get a rhythm. His history says that when he's given the opportunity and to have a rhythm, he'll thrive. That's what scorers do. Scorers have to have rhythm. It's only Lou Will and Jamal Crawford can thrive in those unique situations. But I look at like Austin Rivers last season with the Clippers, the most minutes and most opportunity he had, and that was his best season. Shot the 3 his best that year, 15 points a game, 4 assists, and I think he can probably get just as much opportunity here and mirror, the same production. So Austin Rivers is my pick.
Yeah, I thought those were all excellent points, man. And that could have been the reason New York appealed to him. In his training camp media sessions, he said that, he had an opportunity to go to playoff teams. The rest of the teams that were interested in him were all playoff teams. We know that Philly was one of them. They said that Doc told Philly not to get him. He told his son go to New York. So maybe the opportunity to really just let it fly, be himself, appealed to him. Al, where are you going with your 6-man choice?
I'm going to say that the bounce back for Dennis Smith Jr., man. I got faith in the young guy. I think we saw what he could do in Dallas the first year. We saw what he did with Luka for a little bit, even though he didn't want to play with Luka. And even when he came to New York, we saw that short burst of him scoring close to 15 points per game. He was just getting you 5 assists per game as well. I think we're going to see him have a bounce back year. I think he, last year was just an anomaly. He had everything that could possibly go wrong for him with losing his stepmom, the multiple injuries, especially the lower back issue. You just saw he was just not comfortable being out there. Losing David Fizdale, who probably had the most confidence in him, and then you had Mike Miller, who was just like, I need to win. I want to solidify a job, and you're injured right now. I'm going to use Frank Ntilikina and I'm going to use Elfrid Payton because these are the two steadiest guys that I have right now. I can't really try to develop you. I think you're going to have someone in Tibbs who we've heard has respect for DSJ's game, who liked him when he was coming out of college. And then I think he's going to just focus on him and just not hang him out to dry like we saw with Fizdale, where it's like, all right, man, play 15 minutes. We'll see you get 7 turnovers. We're gonna hear the Garden just chant for Frank Ntilikina. We're not gonna see that. And I think we're gonna see DSJ just come back, make a bounce back, be that guy that he was. And especially if he doesn't start, if he's playing with the second unit, he can have that confidence, feast on the opposing bench players, and just get back into a rhythm, man. I think this is gonna be that time for him.
Bounce back year for DSJ. Alex is putting it out there. Well, if it's 6 man, then I guess you're going with Elfrid or Frank to start it off.
It's going to be Elf to start because I just think Tibbs going to need a vet, and you got to have someone that can just steer the ship on an easy, steady level. Frank can't attack the lane. Talked about it. He made improvements. He doesn't attack the lane as much as Tibbs wants. We saw with Nate Robinson when he had him, Kirk Heinrich. These guys got to get into the paint. Peyton, as much as people don't like Peyton, he attacks the paint. So
I mean, Peyton's still the steady hand, as we know, and I think Tibbs will see that he can trust him. But I hope DSJ can take it. I don't see any reason why he shouldn't be able to win the job. Ashley, where are you going?
I'm actually torn between two. It's going to be either Reggie Bullock or Julius Randle. I think Julius Randle is going to start, but if for whatever reason he does not, I think, when you have somebody invading your territory necessarily, like Obi Toppin is going to, it kind of puts some desperation in you, kind of puts some fire under you. And I think we're going to see one of Julius Randle's best seasons with the Knicks. I think he is going to be dominant on both sides of the ball. And I'm excited to see it because I've been waiting for that from Julius Randle. I think I get glimpses of it, but I never get it for an entirety of a season. I think this is the season that he's going to do it. Reggie Bullock, kind of the same situation, except, I don't think he's going to have the same desperation, but I'm excited to see him. I think he's more likely to come off the bench than Julius Randle will. Like I said, I think Julius Randle's going to be a starter. So it's going to be between one of those two guys. But again, going back to the learning curve, I mean, either way you slice it, if I get a 6-man performance from either of those guys, I'm happy. It's a good season because, again, this is not a year we're going to the playoffs. I just want to see what these guys are made of. I want to see what Julius Randle is really made of. I want to see what Reggie Bullock is really made of. And this is the year to show it because there is no added pressure. Show me what you got. And that's simple as that.
I dig it. I'm going to go with Alec Burks. I'm going with Alec Burks. 15 points a game. 40% from 3. You're going to need his offense. There's no doubt about it. He's going to play major minutes. With Austin Rivers now, they're saying he might miss the entire preseason, with the groin injury. I think guys like Alec Burks will get a better opportunity, Frank even quickly. But from Burks, again, he gives you versatility. He can play the 2. He can play some 3. He played a lot at the point. For some in Golden State, a lot with Philly. With Tibbs trying to struggle and manage those rotations, maybe you see bigger lineups with Burks out there, RJ, Frank. You could run a lot of variations, but again, you have his offense. He has the ability to create for himself, especially the Knicks with 30th in half-court offense. So they're going to need a guy that can get out there, get his own shot off when he needs to. Top of the league, top 25% in drawing fouls as well. Very critical. So you have a guy that can force the issue. He's smart. He knows what to do with it. And I think Burks is my guy for 6-man. For sure.
Not mad at it.
Yeah, man. So to everybody in the chat, hit that thumbs up button for you boys. Throw your 6-man pick in the chat. We'll pick some comments out and comment on it. Chat is going crazy right now. I can't even read it, but we got 1,700 in the building. So make sure you guys hit that thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and let's get back to the phones. Let me hear from my guy Leroy from Atlanta. Leroy, how you feeling, bro?
Hey, CP, how are you? Pierre, how are you?
Good, man.
Alex,
good. How you doing, bro?
How you doing?
Hey, I kind of agree with Burks as the secret weapon coming off as a 6-man. I think he's a valuable tool. I think I think he has the maturity to fit into any system, and I think he's going to work out well because of the fact that he's a mature and experienced ball player able to fit into Tibbs' system. I think this year I'm looking forward to watching Tibbs because as we evaluate the Knicks, one of the things I hear people do that kind of gets kind of nerve-wracking is to keep on evaluating the Knicks based on the past. Basketball is the only corporation in the world where people, number one, always refer to a corporate structure based on the past. It has nothing to do with the present structure just because everybody names the man John Dolan as the president of the team. You got to look at the mindset and the experience of the present people that are there. And Tibbs is an experienced coach. If we look at Tibbs and he looks at a ball player and he says this ball player doesn't have it, we don't need to be fussing about Tibbs about this. He's got too much experience. That ball player doesn't have it. I think that's important. I think my whole thoughts about the Knicks is we've needed, and I think actually I agree 100%, we've needed a stable coach over the years, and I think we have one now. I also think that we're overlooking some things because whenever the NBA is a copycat league. If somebody says somebody doesn't play defense, they don't even watch his videos. They don't even watch him. They just say what everybody else says. And I think that's one of the biggest problems with the NBA, why it's not innovative enough, because whenever we listen to something, we just say the same things. The truth of the matter is you can't just evaluate a rookie based on his videos from his college team, because in the college, he only is allowed to do what the coach allows him to do. College is very restricting, and there's a lot of things about Obi that's going to shock people. One of the ways you can look at Obi and say, well, what is his potential? You got to realize Obi is one of those ball players that had that growth spurt. The value of an NBA ball player is the growth spurt that they have at certain points in their lives. And a lot of the top ball players that we look at, the reason why they're so valuable in the NBA is because they have this outrageous growth spurt between their high school and their college years. Obi had that. But people need to ask themselves the question, what was Obi playing when he was in high school? What position was he playing in high school?
Yeah.
Because the one thing you can't overlook is no matter what the skill development of the ball player is, you got to look at his mindset.
Yeah.
And the biggest problem I see with a lot of the Knicks, they got great abilities. That, like Frank Ntilikina, he's got a great body. He has a size for an NBA ball player. But a lot of NBA ball players can never go any further than their mindset.
Yeah.
If their mindset isn't a certain place, we're wasting valuable time with them because they just can't fit in mentally to what you want them to do. And I think that's a big problem. Thanks for the time,
bro.
guys.
Thanks,
Have a great night.
Appreciate it. Yeah, listen, I think Obi has a lot more to his game than just, explosiveness and dunking and things like that. My show, Court Vision, is coming out tomorrow, and we're going to actually take a deep dive on that. Some of the intricacies of Obi's game that's more than just, again, the highlight dunks and the alley-oops and stuff like that. As far as him, you saying that the past isn't an indicator of the future, especially with Tibbs, I mean, all we have to go by is what we've seen in the past. And it's been a rotating door of coaches. Go all the way back to Larry Brown, go all the way back to D'Antoni, this guy, that guy. Every time they get a big name coach and you think it's supposed to go a certain way, it goes south. So that's all we have to go by right now. So, obviously, yeah, we're optimistic, but I think a lot of times it's cautiously optimistic for a reason. You know what I'm saying? What do you guys think?
I 100%. Yeah. Go ahead, P.
I mean, we have nothing to look at but the past. You have to kind of the past. I feel what he was saying. You don't want to hang your hat on the past, but I mean, that's just the way that the NBA works. If a guy is signed to a contract, it's probably a big contract. It's probably because of what he just did in that past year. Even a draft prospect, Obi Toppin was picked because of what he just did in the past year. So we do live in the past a little bit too much, but I think it's rightfully so. The history, especially for the Knicks, you just hit it on the head, CP. It's all we know is to get the big-time coach that we're all happy about, and then, 2 or 3 years later, it's a disaster. So
it's a disaster. Hope for the best, man. Ashley, you were saying something?
No, I completely agree. I was going to say almost essentially the same thing. I think you have no choice but to gauge your future based on your past. There's a saying, if you don't know your history, you're bound to repeat it.
Yeah.
So I think knowing our history is going to help us prevent from repeating it, hopefully. And I think whenever you draft a player, especially when it's a top 10 draft pick, you're gauging his performance, which is in the past. When it comes to our coaching experience, or rather lack thereof, keeping our coaches within the franchise, you have no choice but to look at the past so that we don't make the same mistakes. I think the key to this season is not putting the pressure on Tibbs, knowing that it is not going to be a winning season, not expecting him to work a miracle in one season is going to be the key in continuing having him as a coach and keeping that continuity within this franchise that we so desperately need. Yeah. Do not put the pressure on his shoulders. Do not expect him to part the Red Sea and be a miracle worker. It's not going to happen overnight. It's not going to happen this season.
That's a fact. That's a fact. Al, obviously, Rookie of the Year pick for the team is unanimously Obi, but how about Quickly, man? You know, Quickly, the coach is saying that he's coming in tip-top shape. Again, we talked about the Austin Rivers injury. Could spell opportunity for Quickly. We'll see how Tibbs feels about inserting him into the rotation. What do you think about Quickly's prospects this year for this team?
I think with Austin Rivers being out for the beginning of this preseason, we should see a little bit of Quickly coming out. Tibbs already spoke about how he can just shoot the lights out. Apparently, like he has that top trait that you want in the NBA, and he's demonstrating it in practice. And Quickly, he talks a big game, saying that he wants to get better every day. He looks to improve every single day. We look at his numbers from college. If we're going to look at that pass, he shot 42% from three. He shot 92% from the line. You can see that he can do that. I think the one thing for Quickly, though, is to maintain consistency. When he was at Kentucky, he had some games that he would just go off, and then there were some games that he'd just be cold. And I think it's just maintaining that steadiness for him to really get a true shot this first year, especially during the preseason while Austin Rivers is out.
P, how about you?
Love Emmanuel Quickly. Had a chance to interview him after he got drafted by the Knicks.
That's right. How was that experience?
It was good. Good kid, great kid. Faith driven. A lot of confidence, like Al said. And I think he comes from that Kentucky culture where those guys are kind of molded to play for a Knicks team and to be in the guard and to handle the pressure and the bright lights of New York City and the media. So I don't think he'll be fazed by that at all. I think it's about the opportunity. You know what I mean? I think young guys have to grow by playing basketball. The whole developing on the bench, it just doesn't work. He has to see the floor, and hopefully, like Alex said, he gets some rotational minutes because Austin Rivers' injury in the preseason. But I think defense and shooting is what he can bring, and that's the two most valuable things in the NBA right now when you look at supporting cash role players. And I think he offers that from day one. So I'm super excited to have him. And I can't wait to see the impact that he has.
Yeah, I agree, man. And Quickly's my sleeper pick on the list. I just think, a kid that can shoot 40% like this, I'll wait for the rest of his game to materialize, whether it's can he play the point or how well he can defend. Right now, even if it's just in catch and shoot situations, spot up situations, let me see him out there in lineups with Julius, with Obi, with RJ. Maybe obviously not all together, but I'm saying as those guys as the primary initiators of the offense or playmakers to get it out there to Quickly, who's going to space it for you, knock it down 90% from the free throw stripe. Knicks have been an atrocious free throw shooting team. I think Quickly could certainly help us there in spots for sure. Ashley, get on your Quickly.
Yeah, definitely. He's my sleeper as well. There's something about those kids that come out of that Kentucky program that's just special. I mean, I can't name one off the top of my head that has been bad so far. I think the most recent that stands out to me, Bam Adebayo. I remember when he was drafted from Kentucky, one of the things that Pat Riley was so impressed was not necessarily his game. His shooting wasn't that great when he first came into the league. It was that preparation. It was that mentality. And I think people underestimate just how valuable that is. You can't necessarily teach that. That is something that is learned, and that is something that becomes a habit over your basketball playing career. And it's something that a lot of people take for granted, but coaches, front offices, franchise love that because you can improve a guy's shooting. You can't always improve his mindset. And I think Quickly's one of those guys who's willing to do the work. He's willing to get better. And that's all you can ask for. And he has the natural talent. It's already there. Kentucky's one of the best programs in the country. They train their guys well. They teach their guys well. So the
100%.
ceiling is, he hasn't even reached his potential. The ceiling is high for him, but that mentality, his work ethic is special. And that's what the Knicks need. They need that in that locker room.
Yeah, hopefully all that Kentucky juju, they get that on Kevin Knox, man. I need some of that Kentucky holy water. We got to revive Kevin Knox, man. We need Kevin back. Oh, man.
I tried to forget that. Forget that one.
Yeah, that might be an outlier, but we still got hope. Yeah. Might be a little outlier. Most improved. Al, okay, who's going to be a most improved this season?
RJ Barrett, man.
100%.
It's going to be RJ Barrett. You just saw when he came into camp where it's like the feeling about not making the all-rookie team. Mm-hmm. You know, he felt like he had some. You saw the look in his eye that he was just determined to like make a big jump this season. I think he's going to show that he can, you know, be that guy, that cornerstone that Knicks fans want to see out of him. I would see him like improving in shooting this season. That's really where it has to come from. Mm-hmm. And I think he's the type of guy that's been putting the work in during this entire time off from not playing and getting ready for that season. I think he's the one that's going to make that next leap that we want to see.
I 100% agree. P, who's your pick?
Dennis Smith Jr., man. Like Alex mentioned earlier in the show, he just had a tough year last year. You know what I mean? The injuries, the passing, that stuff is just, it's always hard to gauge because, you know, everybody's, you know, different mentally. So how you handle that, I can't really imagine going through that. So I can't blame him for all of that. But the number change. I look at things like that. He's wearing number 4 now, number he's worn in high school and college. Feel like getting his swagger back, got his hair cut. I'm digging his interviews and his tone and just his presence. I feel like he's focused. I feel like it's always refreshing to have a fresh start, clean slate, new coach, who everybody knows Thibs has been a fan of Dennis Smith Jr. since college. So to have that kind of confidence from a coach is going to be refreshing for him. And I think since he has that game, you know, the attacking point guard mentality that Thibs like, he's going to get a lot of opportunity, and I can see him thriving, man. So I got Dennis Smith Jr., and I'm ready to bet the house on DSJ.
I started, man. I put him in my ideal lineup. I said, this is it. I basically had the same sentiments that I had last year. He let me down, but this is it. It's now or never. If it's not on the Tibbs, I don't think it's going to happen for him. I'm hoping it happens for him. So, yeah, I could definitely see DSJ. Ashley, where are you going?
I'm going to go against the grain here. I have RJ Barrett somewhere else. So I'm going to go with Mitchell Robinson. I think that he's going to improve his overall shot this season. I think he's also going to work on not getting pushed around like he was in previous seasons. I think we're going to see a new and improved Mitchell Robinson. And I'm hoping, I need to see that. I need him to start reaching that potential that I know he has in him. I'm not willing to give up on Mitchell Robinson. That is my guy. He is, listen, I'm hoping this is the year. This is the year we're going to start seeing what Mitchell Robinson can become. And he has a lot of things that he needs to check off his list. Like I said, that shooting definitely needs to improve. I need to see a more dynamic player, a more dominant player when it comes to defense. I need to see him get aggressive out there. I want to see him get angry. I think he has so much potential. I think he has not even reached his plateau. He hasn't even reached the ceiling that I think he can hit. And I want to start seeing him tread in that direction. It's about time. This is like, again, this is the topic is learning. That is the phrase for the season. Yeah. Learn, get better, start that transition into what you were and what you want to be. This is the season that we need to see that. So that's who I got.
Good points. Good points indeed. I'm with Alex. I'm going RJ, man. I'm going RJ because the shooting statistics can't get any worse because at 40%, 32% from 3, 61% from the free throw line. I mean, look, I was caping for him for that rookie team stuff, you know, and I don't get caught up in it, but I wanted him to get some respect. I wanted the Knicks to get some respect, but I mean, the shooting numbers were abysmal, P. 44% effective field goal percentage, 10th percentile. His free throw percentage put him in the 4th percentile. 32% from 3, 54% at the rim. You gotta finish. You have to finish. And a guy, because at the same time, he's in the 92nd percentile in drawing fouls. So if you're gonna draw fouls at that rate, you have to convert. These are free points. This is what Tibbs wants. He wants to attack the rim. He wants to get free throws. He wants to get the corner threes. Some of those areas, RJ can be the aggressor, and then he can be the playmaker and get his guys open opportunities. But at his usage rate last year, you know, the shooting numbers were just abysmal. And obviously, you know, they didn't do a great job spacing for him. The chemistry was an issue. All that is valid. But I think the shooting numbers overall have to improve, and I think they will. I'm with Alex. I think he'll have the drive to get out there and improve. It can't get any worse because his numbers last year were abysmal, bro.
Let's hope so, man. Let's hope so.
Facts.
I mean, we saw at the end of last season, right, where he started to come on late in March. So I think he has it in him. Mm-hmm. He definitely has that look in his eye. He definitely has that feeling that he's gonna like take that next step. And he wants to prove everyone wrong. He just wants to do it. You just see it in his eye. I got so much faith in RJ. He's got the pedigree to do it too.
Yeah, I agree, man. I agree. Listen, the bully ball is there. You know that's going to be his A game, but he's got to convert. He has to finish. And then, again, he's leaving too many points at the free throw line. 61% is just not going to do it. He's got to get that up there, the 70, 73, 75. That's where Jimmy's hovering around. And again, you know, even if he gets to 36, percent from three, he doesn't have to be a knockdown 3-point shooter, but a timely 3-point shooter. And I think that's what Jimmy showed you as well, and how he could raise his game. So definitely interesting to see how RJ gets it in year 2 for sure. Salute to everybody in the chat. Hit that thumbs up button for you boys. How many we got? 2,100 in the chat. The chat is lit tonight. 11 o'clock is late night on the East Coast. Appreciate you rocking with us. Let's take another quick call. Let's go to... Who I want to hear from? I want to hear from my guy Ron Cleveland. Ron, what's going on, bro?
Man. CP. Ashley. Yeah.
What up?
Y'all ready, man? Hey, that's chat. I know y'all ready for tomorrow night. You heard me? Man, let's get right into it. Hey, I'm telling y'all right now, man, the thing that I'm so happy about with our Knicks, and y'all bear with me, man. The thing I'm excited about, no more front office malpractice. You heard me? No more of that. You got Leon Rose. He's going to do the thing the right way. And what I love the most is we went back to the roots. The roots, the essence. We went and got Tom Thibodeau, who I wanted here years ago. That guy is going to instill what it means to be a Knick. He remembered those glory days in the Garden. We're going to get back to that foundation. Now, let's look at this lineup. My sixth man, it ain't even a question. It's Emmanuel Quickly. Reports coming out that the guy is the first one into practice, arriving early, leaving late. And let's just look at his numbers at Kentucky. Senior year, the guy shot 92% from the free throw line, shot 40% from the three-point line, 43%.
Yeah.
And Tibbs even talked about that, his shooting. So that's too powerful to just leave Barrett on the bench. We're going to find a spot for that kid. And when you look at his game, bulldog mentality coached by Cal. And I'm telling y'all, man, my breakout player, Kevin Knox, I'm thinking going to be that guy, man. Really, the slate is clean in my book for all these guys. I'm not passing no judgment on none of these guys until about 20 games in. Then I'm going to tell you who I think should stay and who should be on that first thing smoking out of LaGuardia. You heard me?
It's probably going to be Kevin Knox.
Knicks family, let's get ready to ride. It's
all
a
right.
new season. There's a new sheriff in town. Man.
Appreciate you, Ron. We got to get those Ron Cleveland t-shirts made, man. I've been slacking for like 2 years, man. Well, good to hear from you. Yo, let's go to the UK, man. It's late night in the UK. Sam, what's going on? How you feeling?
Yo, what's going on, everybody? I'm a huge fan, long time, but it's the first time I'm calling in due to the hours and shit going on. Just wanted to say I'm thankful for you guys. Appreciate you being here for the start of the season. I just wanted to ask how you guys felt the chemistry between Julius and Mitch would be if Obi doesn't get the start, and see how it might be for Mitch's development going forward to be paired with someone like Julius, given all of his issues last season. Going into a new coaching regime, I hope that may be fixed. Just wanted to say, that point really, and I hope you guys have a good night. Enjoy the weekend.
Appreciate it, Sam. Cheers, bro. Cheers. Julius and Mitch. Yeah, I thought I thought last year, the chemistry was all right between Julius and Mitch. I actually thought the two-man game, two-man lineup with them was pretty good. I thought what you saw was that, Julius obviously complemented where Mitch was lacking, which was on the offensive and defensive glass. And that was very key, because if we didn't have that, we would have gotten eaten alive on the boards. I thought Julius did a great job of that. Definitely want to see, as Ashley said, Mitch get more aggressive on the boards in that regard. So yeah, I don't think there was much of an issue. I mean, Al, what did you see between Julius and Mitch last year?
I don't think there's anything wrong with their chemistry at all.
Yeah.
Like you pointed out already, Julius was cleaning up on the glass. You had Mitch just knocking it down like with dunks. They both, it was just cluttered. That's really what it was, because we didn't have any shooters. So maybe that's where he's getting at. But even with that much clutter, they were still very effective. Julius Randle was a 2010 machine, and you had Mitch, who led the NBA in the field goal percentage. So it wasn't too much of an issue. And if you're asking if they like each other or not, I think they do. It doesn't seem like they have anything against each other. I don't know where you're trying.
Yeah, I don't really see that pairing as kind of like a sticking point. I mean, P, what do you think?
Between those two, there's no issue. There's no issue at all. My issue with it is RJ Barrett. You guys talked about RJ being your most improved and all of these high hopes for, and I'm a Knicks fan, so I'm rooting for him. He's our third overall pick. He's our future, the hope or whatever. But he's not going to be able to be that guy if the front court is Julius Randle and Mitchell Robinson, especially if your point guard is Elfrid Payton, Dennis Smith Jr. RJ Barrett is going to be a player who's going to thrive with specific type of players around him, and that is going to be shooting. And as long as there's no shooting, my expectation can't be high for RJ Barrett. I don't want people to misconstrue what I'm saying. Like, I have nothing against him. But just seeing what I know, for all of the years I've watched him, high school, college, if he doesn't have the shooting, man, it's ugly.
It's going to be tough.
And the guys that we just named potential starters, it's not even close to shooting. That's atrocious. So from that perspective, if he's going to be your guy in your future, I think you have to compliment him and put him in situations where he can thrive. And that's just not the way. Julius Randle being a guy he's kicking it out to, if he's playing bully ball like you mentioned, it's not going to work. So from that perspective, I look at it like that more so than actually Julius and Mitch.
Good points. Good points. Give me your MVP pick. I'm
gonna do a Wes Unseld thing. Rookie of the Year's OB, and the MVP is going to be Obi Toppin.
Okay.
Obi Toppin is going to change things, man. I think he's going to give us that excitement. I think he's coming in with a sense of, it's not a lot of pressure. I don't feel like it's pressure for Obi because everybody's talking about the Julius Randle thing. You're already cutting up some slack because of the short timing.
Facts.
I think he's going to come in and have opportunity as well. Again, like what I said about Austin Rivers, we don't have an all-star player or an all-star caliber player that you have to fall in line to. So if Obi is starting off in a groove, he's going to be our first option. Mm-hmm. Like who can really take the ball out of his hands if he does start to thrive? And I think he's so dynamic. I agree with what you said. There's more to Obi than just the dunks. I think he's an underrated passer. I think the pick and pop potential with an RJ Barrett can be special if he's knocking it down early. I think the vertical lob threat, and I think the thing about scores in NBA is they get easy baskets. The best scores on any level are guys that can get easy baskets. Nobody's averaging 30 off all half-court scoring. Being able to get dunks and layups and get free throw attempts, he's going to be a guy that can do that from day one. And I think he's going to put up some numbers for us.
That's good points. Al, what about you, man? Who's your MVP pick?
It's Obi Toppin as well because of everything that he just said, man. Like he's also like we drafted him, right? The hype behind him. He's not only going to be a highlight reel. P's already talked about it. He's got the passing ability. He's such a dynamic offensive threat. We don't have an offensive dynamic threat on this team. So, and the NBA is offensive driven. So it's just that easy lane for Obi just to like walk into for the Knicks to be the guy who's going to be consistent for us, give us the points that we want to see, give us some flashes here and there with some like really just high powerful dunks. And the stage is just really set for him for this team. Like it just has to be Obi.
you guys are disrespecting my guy, man. I'm going off the grid. I'm going back to Julius, man, because y'all forgot all about it. I'm going back to Julius Randle. 20-10 does not grow on trees. Right now, he's still your best player until Obi proves otherwise. He's still your most productive offensive player. Like it or love it. Like it or not. You know what I mean? Whether or not he makes his teammates better, it's more than likely not. But you're still going to need it. You're still going to need that offense when RJ's out there struggling, when you have Peyton or DSJ out there building bricks. You're going to need Julius's offense to even keep him halfway in the game. Now, how they win the game in the stretch or how they execute down the stretch, that's a whole nother story. But I think for the better part of 3 quarters, Julius Randle is still going to be a most productive option on the offensive end. And at the end of the day, until they come to the day where they actually have a deal on the table to trade him, he could be here for the whole year. And if he is, again, I don't know how they handle that dynamic with him and Obi. They do the 3 and the 4 thing is going to be a disaster. 4 and the 5 is going to be a disaster. You're going to need Mitchell or Noel out there for sure. So I think it's easier for them to bring Obi along slowly. Like P said, there's no pressure on him. You can still bring him along slowly. He's going to keep it humble. You keep Randle happy. You build up his trade value. And if it comes a time at the deadline when a team is needs a 4, they need a 4 for depth or they're desperate for a starter, then maybe you could get that trade. But I think until then, I don't think it will serve him well to just throw him on the bench. I think he's still going to be featured. And you got to hope, as what Ashley said earlier, that under Tibbs, he becomes a more selfless player, gets his teammates more involved, maybe looks to score a little bit less and play make a little bit more, and also gets it in on the defensive end. I'm going with Julius, man. MVP. Let's go.
I'm gonna go against the grain here because I don't like how you guys are disrespecting my guy. I'm going RJ Barrett, and I'm going RJ Barrett because I feel like his trajectory from last season is just going to continue. Towards the end of the season, towards the end of the pause, should I say rather, you really started to see him get better, and I think that is a trend that's going to continue into this season. I think that he is still has the potential to be one of the best players that we have on this team. I think that he is currently probably one of the best players that we have on the team. Yes, he has a lot of work that he needs to do, but I think we're going to see a lot better shooting from RJ. I think we're going to see a lot better 3-point shooting from RJ. I think he's even going to get better defensively. I think he knows, like you guys, spoke about earlier, all eyes are on him. And he knows that people have been talking, and he knows that people have not been happy with his performance. And it's really been kind of undermining what people have anticipated that he was going to give us when, he got to the franchise, when he got to the organization. And I think that that's really weighing on him. And sometimes when you have that chip on your shoulder, it produces, pressure makes diamonds. And I think that this is the year that RJ Barrett's really going to show us what he can do. And I think he's going to go off this season. You don't have that pressure of having to perform in front of the crowd and perform in front of, perform at Madison Square Garden. You don't have the pressure of having to go to the playoffs. I think we're really going to see him become the player that I know he can be. I'm not giving up on RJ just yet. And I don't like how you guys are disrespecting my man. Don't disrespect my man.
All right. Put your name in the RJ ring. Listen, not a bad idea. Listen, I would love to see RJ step it up and be that guy. Of course, that means great things for the Knicks. If we know that one of our core is a guy that we can really rely on and build with as a building block going forward, I think that would be a great thing. So definitely would love to see it. Let's go back to the phones. Chris from Long Island. Chris, how you feeling, man?
I'm doing good, CP. I'm really interested to see how the Knicks are going to play tomorrow night versus Pistons. I mean, do you have any thoughts on that? Like, are the Knicks actually going to win and who their lineup will be?
Yep, appreciate the call, man. Tibbs has said that he's not sure. I'm not sure if Mitch made any hints about it in his Instagram story. I don't know what it means. But Tibbs has said he's not so sure what the lineup is going to be. It's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting. 9 months off. You got a Piston team with D. Rose taking young Killian Hayes under his wing. I'm interested in actually seeing how Killian Hayes looks to see if he's going to make me regret not picking him with that 8th pick or him not slipping to the Knicks with the 8th pick. Pistons also got Blake Griffin coming back. They got Jeremy Grant and their power forward army. So we'll see how it goes. We'll see how it goes, man. P, have you given any thoughts to tomorrow's game? I'm just happy to see basketball back, bro.
I'm just happy to see basketball. If D Rose plays any significant minutes, I'll be happy to see that too.
Yeah.
Always supporting Pooh and D Rose. So, I mean, to me, it's just a preseason game. I don't put too much onto those games, but I'm happy to have basketball back. But I'm not going to take too much from it. Maybe the starting lineup will reveal what we'll get, and that'll be something to take from it. But other than that, I'm not putting too much onto it, man. It's just preseason.
Yeah. I'm not putting much into it. Al, Ashley, what do you guys think?
Yeah, same. I don't put much into preseason on any team. I don't care if it's the Los Angeles Lakers. I think preseason is just a way to work out the kinks. And again, this is going to be a quick turnaround. We've never seen an off season quite like this. This is a very quick turnaround, especially for the teams that went far in the bubble. I think you're not going to see a lot from some of the bigger names. I think they're going to kind of work them in slowly, gradually. I think this is really just to see kind of where everyone is. I've spoken to a lot of coaches. I spoke to Ty Lue, I've spoken to Spoelstra, I've spoken to a few other coaches in the league, and they're really just seeing where their guys are currently. That really has been also the trend in a lot of mini camps. We just want to gauge where everyone is at. A lot of these guys were exhausted. The turnaround, like I said, was very, very quick. And the goal is just to gauge everyone's individual space, where they are, and how we can eventually get everybody on the same page. So don't expect a blowout. Don't expect a clean game. You're probably going to see a lot of sloppy basketball. Even when the season starts, I think you can expect to see a lot of sloppy basketball.
Yeah, 100%.
It's just the nature of the beast. Same thing, with the NFL. No off season, no training camp. You're just going to see a lot of sloppy basketball. And, be okay with it. It's part of the process.
100%. But we will be back tomorrow night with all the overreactions to the game, because it's going to be a ton of them. Win or lose, fire this dude, trade this dude, cut this dude, start him. And so, yeah, we're looking forward to all of it, man. Post Game Live is back, so make sure you guys keep it locked to Knicks Fan TV for sure after the game. And we'll be taking all the caller reactions to it all. All right, a couple more calls before we wrap. Let me hear from Ari. Ari, what's going on, bro?
Hey, what's up, CP? What's up, Ashley, Alex, Pierre? What's up, guys?
What up?
Going on, Ari?
That caller, Chris, I like that caller, Chris. He actually always makes good points. So a lot of people in the chat are not even close to as intelligent as Chris is. So
yeah, that's my guy. Salute to Chris for
some of the
sure.
people in the chat are just pathetic.
100%.
So I'm on Team Chris, but besides that, CP, did you say Randall going to be the MVP of the team? Is that what you said?
Look. No, hold on. We got to be realistic here. First of all, I still think this is going to be a 20-something win team. So MVP should be a loose MVP, right? It's still going to be a rough season. But all I'm saying is this is going to be your offensive workhorse until OB establishes himself. I think RJ has a ways to go to improve on his shot that you can rely on him on. I still think they'll go to him in closing time, which I'd love to see. And I do think he'll improve. But I think Julius, you know what you're going to get right off the bat from day one. And he's going to go and he's going to get you his 19 and 9. He's going to be a bull out there. Of course, all of that. You're going to get all the bad with all of that. But all I'm saying is that you still need that production, because a lot of it is going to be hard to come by. They're going to have a hard time scoring points. So I'm just being realistic.
No. All right. I get it. I mean, I'm with Ashley. I think RJ Barrett. I mean, listen, it all goes about what Tibbs, what Tibbs wants, right? Is he going? However he builds, whoever he runs the offense through, and whoever he makes the main guy is going to be the guy who's going to be get the most praise and be the quote unquote MVP.
Mm-hmm.
So whoever he says it is, but I think this is an indictment. Like, listen, I think Leon Rose did a good job not overpaying people, getting shooters in. He had a good draft, but I think it's a very bad move that he has Julius Randle on the team going into the beginning of the season.
Yeah.
Because he doesn't fit into the long-term plans, right? He doesn't fit into the long-term plans. He is only going to take touches away from RJ and Obi. He's only going to hinder Obi's growth, right? Because he's going to, he's going to take more time for Obi to get more playing time, and, he's just going to take a lot of his playing time, a lot of his touches. I I think it's an indictment against Leon Rose that he couldn't move this guy before the beginning of the season. You know,
It's two to tango.
Maybe he's trying to boost his trade value and
no,
trade him at the deadline.
There is
That's
no
the only
trade
thing
value.
that
I mean,
makes sense.
appreciate it, bro. I mean, there's no trade value to really enhance. I think they know what they have. It's two parties at a trade table, right? The party that wants to trade the guy, the party that wants him. If nobody wants him, they can't trade him. I don't think ideally they wanted to go into this, with Julius Randle and Obi at the 4. So, they're just gonna have to make it do what it do, man. That's all I can really say. And that's all I can really say. We went through our sleepers. I think we did. I think we both picked quickly. Me and Ashley picked quickly. Al,
yeah.
who's
I was
your
there with
sleeper
you.
pick?
My sleeper pick?
Yeah.
My sleeper pick is going to be Kevin Knox.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah. I think he's going to take – and this is not to say like he's going to be like in the starting lineup or anything like that. I think we're just going to see him make be a consistent player that we want him to be, just be a good, solid rotational player. That's the sleep. It's that X factor that you want out of somebody. It's like, okay, I know I'm going to get out of Kevin Knox. He had another guy just like off the rail season last year. You had Miller, who was coaching for his job after we lost Mook. He couldn't even get minutes. You saw that he just didn't have the confidence like in him every single game. And you hear from Tibbs right now. You hear Tibbs saying Knox came in great shape. Tibbs is also saying that he's knocking down shots when he's like in the groove. So I think Knox is getting his confidence back. He's got Kenny Payne there to help him too. So I can only see him with a solid coaching staff and people who are pushing him, which is, I forget who wrote it, but it really just encompassed Knox needing that type of coaching that just pushes you and not be buddy-buddy like Fizdale was. So that's why I got Knox as like a sleeper. I think we're going to see Knox be a consistent player this season.
He's another player. This is a perfect situation for him. They surrounded him with his guys. He's got his Kentucky guys. He's got his coach, his mentor. This is it for Kevin. I agree with you. I think it can't get any worse. You know what I mean? Just like RJ shooting, I think Kevin it can't get any worse. And as I said on Sunday, he looks good in camp. His coach came out and said the same. Again, confidence is going to be a big factor with him. And I think for him, he's got to knock down those threes, especially the wide open ones. He's got to prove to be a good floor spacer out there. He has length. He has athleticism to be a much better defender, much more consistent defender. I'm interested in seeing how, Tibbs as a coach really gets him to lock in defensively. And, and I'm very much interested in seeing how Kevin Knox looks this season as well, for sure. P, where are you going with your sleeper pick?
Alec Burks, man. Alec
Nice.
Burks. I think at some point, depending on how our point guards play, I wouldn't be surprised if he was a starting point guard at some point. If Tibbs just got pissed off with all of our guards.
Right.
I think Alec Burks is an underrated basketball player. A lot of people are surprised how he handles the point guard position when he does get minutes there. But he came into the NBA as a point guard. At Colorado, he was a 6'6" big point guard. And everywhere he goes, he just plays good basketball. There's always a spark.
You always killed the Knicks.
I always killed the Knicks for sure. And I just feel like it's nothing he really can't do offensively. It's like a 3-level scorer, shoots a 3 pretty well, mid-range game, has enough handle to get to the rim and finish. As you mentioned, his draw and foul rate is ridiculous, one of the best in the league. And he's a veteran. He's savvy, to say the least. I just think Alec Burks is a good player. And I think he's probably going to play himself up to get traded at the deadline, something like
Definitely.
that. I don't want to get too attached, but I'm definitely he's definitely a sleeper. And I also want to say Miles Powell. If he gets any opportunity, I think he can play like a Alonzo Trier type role where like he comes out of nowhere and everybody's like, damn, he can score the basketball. But just depends on how much opportunity he actually has.
Yeah, and we'll see because past couple of days they did make some roster moves. Jacob Evans got cut. They also picked up a couple guys on Exhibit 10 contracts. They picked up Scal Labissiere out of Kentucky. Also played for the Blazers and the Kings most recently. They also picked up James Young, former player out of the Celtics camp. So they picked up a couple of guys. Evans is cut. Right now, they're at their 15. They're at their 15 guaranteed slots. You have Miles Powell, Michael Kidd-Gilchrist, Scal Labissiere, James Young, Andrew White. They also picked back up Andrew White, who was on their Summit League team last year. So they have a couple guys on Exhibit 10s. They have the 15 fully guaranteed. if they wanted to make a extra spot for either Powell or Kid Gilchrist, they got to cut somebody else on the roster. So that could be Iggy. That could be Omari Spellman as well. So interesting. It's gonna be interesting to see how they manage that roster going in. What you think, bro?
A lot of Kentucky blue, man.
That's right.
A lot of Kentucky blue. I still think Kid Gilchrist gets in. The Iggy Hive don't want to hear it, but I still think Kid Gilchrist gets in, and I think you may need Spellman for depth if you end up trading Julius throughout the season. So gonna be interesting to see how that all plays out for sure.
Gotta call them the Kentucky Knicks.
Knicks.
What would Kid Gilchrist do for us?
Bro, I just think Tibbs likes those vets, man. I think he likes those vets with a defensive mindset. He's gonna be New York Bricks, 100%. I'm not a fan, to tell you the truth, but I just think he's a Tibbs type of guy that Tibbs wants to have around. A guy that can practice with the team, make it tougher on the young guys. He might not play, but I mean, look at the division, Pete, and look at the roster. Look at the dogs you got, and in Kevin Durant, Siakam, all the wings in Toronto play like Siakam. You have Ben Simmons, you have Tatum, Brown. You know,
DP, I'm gonna be honest, man. Kid Gilchrist isn't doing anything with those folks.
I'm not saying he's gonna lock them down.
So we just might as well not even give him a spot.
Don't even bother, right? Just give it to Miles Powell, right?
Yeah, I mean, we might as well. I think the only value he has is if you're going to play him at like a center. I mean, if I'm being honest with you, I just don't see it. I get what you're saying. Veteran presence, Kentucky, he'll push you around in practice. He may elbow, be topping a couple times.
Yeah, look. Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying I got hope for him. I'm just saying I could see him being a Tibbs guy, but we'll see. We'll certainly see how it goes, man. So to everybody in the chat, once again, hit that thumbs up button for your boys. Last call of the night is gonna go to my guy Max from the Bronx. Max, how you feeling, bro?
Hey guys, how y'all doing tonight?
Good, bro. What's going on?
Hi.
Good. How you doing?
What's up, Ashley?
Hi.
Listen, when I heard the good things you guys said about Julius, and I have to disagree because Mr. Spin Move, he don't pass the ball, and that's a big problem for me. So him and Dennis, I'm out on because Dennis, it wasn't even about he didn't try last year, and that's a problem for me. Yeah. So the 4 key players I have that I think the Knicks need to focus on is one, RJ Barrett. So I'm watching his stuff on YouTube, like the live stream and all that. And you guys forget that he dominated Paul George, who's supposed to be a good defender, right? He dominated him that game.
Yeah, he played well that game.
He also dominated Tucker that game when they played in the Garden and they beat him. So RJ can't shoot, right? He can't shoot. He's at you said all the shooting percentages. He had the worst spacing you could ever have. And he still averaged 14 points. So logic will tell you that he's pretty hard worker. He's gonna raise his game. So look for RJ for a breakout year. I also look for Kevin Knox. Now I think we all like the idea of Kevin Knox. It's just that I don't know what happened. Like from his rookie year, it was cool, and then the second year they just didn't play him, and then he lost confidence, and all this stuff started to happen. So I think the Knicks' most important players, which we're either going to go up or down. So we either might be trending towards like a Denver direction where we're like, oh, man, we got a bunch of young guys that are pretty good, or we're going to have to focus more on the draft. So it's RJ, it's Knox, it's Obi, and probably, well, I want to say Mitch. Mitch is obvious, but I want to see Quickly. I want to see Quickly get in a lineup. I actually want to see Quickly, Burks, RJ, those 3 in a lineup. So RJ, RJ could facilitate and find Quickly wide open. And, Tim said Quickly's one of the best shooters, period. So I want to see that. So what do you guys think about that?
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. And that's why that 3 spot is going to be very interesting, especially for Kevin Knox, with the 4 being kind of jammed up with Obi and Randall. That 3 spot, do they go with a 3-guard lineup, P? You could go a lot of different variations. You could go Rivers, RJ, Frank. You could go RJ, Burks quickly, as Max said. There's a lot of options that they have there that I think will definitely help them in terms of spacing the floor and getting some good three-point shooting out there.
Definitely. He got to chill though, man. RJ Barrett is not dominating, Paul. He's using that dominating word a little.
Don't disrespect my guy.
He played well. He played well that Clipper game, man. Give him credit.
I think RJ is the easy pick. I think it's a safe pick. He's a third overall pick. They're going to put him in every situation to not fail. Like, of course, he's average for. They're never going to let him fail completely. They're going to put him in every situation to succeed. But I don't know, man. I don't want us to get our hopes up too high. I'm just saying it's not RJ essentially. It's the roster built around him. We just don't have enough to compliment him, and I don't want my fellow Knicks fans to get their hopes up for something that might be inevitable. He might not have. I don't think he's a bad player at all. I think he has all-star potential, but until we properly put pieces around him, it's going to be hard.
Cautious
I think
optimism.
The one thing that doesn't get brought up is the name Ashley brought up earlier, Reggie Bullock. Reggie Bullock can shoot the ball. Yep. So we're going to have to find a way to put him on the court with RJ because other than that, we don't really have anybody that's shooting the ball really lights out.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I think RJ is it's going to be 50-50 with him. It's going to be half his own development and what he's able to do in his own training and his own development as a player, as a person, on and off the court. That's really going to help him get to the next level. But it's also up to the Knicks, as they're in these rebuilding years, to build around him. And I think that RJ Barrett has the potential to be the face of this franchise along with Obi Toppin. And I think if that is the directions the Knicks want to go in, I think that you need to build a roster around him where he can succeed. And right now we have not been doing that. That's kind of what you deal with when you're in those rebuilding years. But as we start to progress and we start to become more of a contender, hopefully, and we start to get more of a clear picture of what this team is supposed to look like, not just one season, but overall for many seasons to come, you really need to start looking into what players can you put around your faces of the franchise that can help them reach their maximum level of success. And I think, we haven't been doing that, but that's, the dice that you roll when you're still trying to figure it out. Yeah. We still have time, but I 100% agree with you. It's going to be half on RJ, but it's going to be half on the franchise to do right by him.
Gotta build it properly, man. But I think so far, this year, again, they're trying to do it lean. They're doing it on the margins, and we'll see how it pans out. But hopefully he takes another step. Real quick before we wrap, I mentioned earlier about the Harden stuff in terms of maybe the Knicks can get involved, from a salary standpoint. Now, a lot of people are DMing me like, CP, can we get Harden? I'm like, nah, probably not, fam. I don't think so. But maybe we could give him some money to, get it done. But I don't know. A lot of Harden rumors flying around, man. Where do you guys think he ends up?
I feel like the 76ers.
Yeah.
Yep.
You can go. Yeah, I feel like the 76ers is going to be the number one option. Number two for me would probably be the Nets. 76ers just because you got Daryl Morey there. They got the assets to do it. You can trade Ben Simmons for Harden. I feel like that would be, the most comparable swap that the team could do to get Harden out for the 76ers.
Harden again. Playing one-on-one. Not anymore. It's one-on-none. Who averages just under 2 per game. Harden, step back. That's good. First corner for Harden. Picked up by Ingram, going one-on-one for 3, and Harden hits it. He's got it. James, looks like he's settling for.
Yeah, I 100% agree with that. My actual two teams, though, are the 76ers and Miami. I don't think Brooklyn I know Brooklyn would be the ideal situation for Harden, but remember, basketball is a business, and Houston has the ball in their court. And I just don't think Brooklyn has the pieces that equal a James Harden type player. I don't think he's going to Milwaukee. So if there's any Bucks fans in here, sorry, it's not happening. It's just not. I think the 76ers would be the most ideal just because they have the most to offer that would equal a player of James Harden's status. The only thing is, I don't know if they'd be willing to part with Ben Simmons or Joel Embiid, at least not in the beginning of the season. I think that you would start seeing any movement if it does happen around the All-Star break, which is in March this year. I think, if Ben Simmons, there are rumors that the 76ers are not willing to trade him, but, the Rockets and the Wizards trade went through after they said that the Wizards said that they weren't going to trade John Wall. So you never really know. Miami, though, I just don't think he fits with the culture. And when the rumors first started circulating, you know, I asked a few people in the Miami Heat organization, and that was the consensus among everybody I spoke to was how does he fit into this culture that we have established in Miami? And a lot of great players can't necessarily play in that culture. It's the conditioning is one of the hardest tests in the NBA. Pat Riley runs a very tight ship. There are no superstars. Everybody is a team player. It's one of the reasons LeBron ended up leaving. He could not, you know, deal with the fact that this was not your team. We don't care what you have to say. I am the president. Spoelstra is the coach. You are a player. And a lot of guys are not okay with that. I also just don't think that they'd be willing to part with Tyler Hero and some of the other guys that they would have to give away for somebody of James Harden's age. He is 31 years old. You know what I mean? And that may not be old, but it's definitely outside of those basketball prime years. And I don't know if you'd be willing to trade away a core group of guys, a young core group of guys for somebody whose championship window is not as big as it was 5 years ago. Now, if James Harden was 5 years younger, absolutely make that trade. You know, James Harden type caliber player comes around once in a lifetime, but he is 31. So that is something that any team that trades for him, because you're going to have to give up a lot for James Harden. Simple as that. If you want him, you got to give up a lot. Any team who trades for him has to put that in consideration. His age is a big factor.
This is a difficult trade to gauge, man. I don't know where the bid is going, bro. What do you think?
Well, like they said, Philadelphia has to be on the list, but just like Ashley said, I don't think Daryl Morey is going to be willing to trade Ben or Joel, at least not right now.
I don't see it either. But go ahead.
The first thing he does on his job, one of the first things is trade Ben Simmons. I don't see that. You know, I really think he's going to go to a team that we don't know. I think it's going to be some random thing because Houston has to feel disrespected. They've given him everything he's asked for. So I really don't think they're going to legitimately hear what he cares or, hey, I want to go here. So let's go. Let's do right by Harden. I don't think they care at this point. It'll be who can give you the best package. Me personally, I would love to see James Harden in South Beach, Ocean Drive. Yeah. You know what I mean? I know a lot of ladies in South Beach that would love to have him there as well. He's such a giver.
We got enough problems, P. Don't send him down here. They're trying to build a championship team here. Do not send James Harden down here with KOD and Tootsies
that
down
may
the
be
street.
the missing piece.
That
may be the missing piece. If you got to trade Hero, Riley will trade Hero, man. That's one thing about Riles. If he feels like they're close, he'll move anything.
That's what I want to hear.
Except for Bam. I don't. Bam is off the table 100%.
Actually, what's the Tyler Hero thing? Like,
so Tyler Hero, I spoke to, when in the beginning of the offseason, there were two players that Tyler Hero would be on the table for, and that was Giannis and Bradley Beal. There have been reports, the James Harden rumor has been around for a while, weeks. Shams, I know, reported it today, but it's been around in Miami for a while. Tyler Hero is not included in any of the trade packages that Miami is willing to entertain for James Harden. And the thing is Pat Riley has a love-hate relationship with rookies. Dwayne Wade was a rookie, but that is D Wade. You don't come across a D Wade every single day. So he's not in the business of developing rookies like I think some other coaches are, but I don't think he's willing to part with a group of guys who he is working continuously and effort and just every single day to develop and build a championship caliber team. And I think they're one piece away. I would love to see Bradley Beal in Miami. I think that's the piece that they're missing. Nice, yeah. Obviously, Giannis would be the big fish, the white whale, if you will. But we've been, Heat fans have been chasing after Bradley Beal for seasons. So I don't think you trade for a James Harden what you need to trade him for. It's just too much. If it were, like I said, 5 years ago, I would say trade the house for him. A talent like James Harden, he would have been 26 at the time, 27, does not come around, but he is 31 years old. And I don't know how, one, he fits in the culture, like I said, and two, is what is that championship window? When you think about it, what is your window to win with James Harden?
Right now.
For him.
They got Jimmy and they got Bam.
But would they be able to work together is the question. Because if you trade the house, essentially you'd be trading a lot. It'd be Tyler Hero, it'd be Kendrick Nunn. It would probably be Duncan Robinson. It'd probably be Kelly Olynyk.
They got to keep one of the 3-point shooters. One of them. They would probably have to. They would keep
it's James
Duncan.
Harden.
they gotta keep. Yeah, I mean,
I don't know if Houston would allow it.
But see, I think that
Houston
overall that's a
would allow it.
problem. I don't think there's a viable package out there for Houston. You got to think about Fertitta. He's a businessman, lost a ton of money on COVID. He already has John Wall there. He's investing a ton of money in. I can't see Simmons. You're going to bring the two of them there. You know, the Philly trade doesn't really make sense because I don't think Doc is going to be wanting to part with Embiid or Simmons. I think Doc is keen on building with them and seeing what they have and seeing if he could take them over the hump. So I'm not sure. Go ahead, Pete.
Brooklyn low-key has a nice package. They might have the best package.
Probably, yeah.
With like Spencer,
I'm hating, but I don't.
Barrett,
Yeah.
Allen. I mean, that's the best you're going to be able to get.
That's really it.
For James Harden, though?
I mean, are you going to keep him and he's not going to ever show up or cause dysfunction?
Yeah.
I think your best bet is if KD and Kyrie around March, again, that all-star break, if they cannot play together and you are not where you want to be as the Brooklyn Nets, because again, Kevin Durant coming off an Achilles injury is up there in age too. If you are not where you want to be, I would not be surprised if Kyrie Irving is included in a trade package that sends him to Houston and James Harden to be reunited with Kevin Durant in Brooklyn.
KD's not going to sell out Kyrie that fast.
I don't think he will. I think the franchise will know that it's just not working. And when you have a player of Kevin Durant's stature and he is coming off an injury, he's 33 years old, 34 years old, I think. Yeah. You don't have much time to win with him. And if you're trying to win, you got to do it fast. And in order to do that, if it's not working and it's not working right away, you got to strike while the iron is hot. Do I think it's going to happen? No. I think James Harden plays this season in Houston. I don't think you see any movement from him this year. The Rockets just don't have to trade him. They're chilling. Yeah. They don't need to do anything. They don't. And also, like, I think we're missing the point is, yes, it does put a bad taste in players' mouth when a player demands a trade and he's stuck for a season. But on the other side of the spectrum, it does put a bad taste in a franchise's mouth when you have 2.5 years left on your contract and you demand a trade. So it can go either way. I don't know who's going to come out the winner of this. I don't.
Oh, man. Interesting problems, Al. You know, right now we the Knicks. We're just trying to win a game. You know what I mean? We're just trying to win a game. But, great show. I thought this was definitely a great panel. Knicks preseason kicking off tomorrow night. Back in the building after a 9-month layoff. Great job, everybody. P, go ahead and sign out, man. Let them know where they can find you, bro.
Find me on Twitter, Pee Wee the Plug. Instagram, Pee Wee the Plug, HOH. House of Highlights, YouTube, podcast Through the Wire, Tuesdays and Saturdays. Bleacher Report app with, all family. HOH Bleacher Report.
Killing
for being here again. Alex, Ashley, CP, great working with y'all. And go Knicks, man. Go Knicks.
Yes, sir. Ashley, let them know where they can find you.
You guys can follow me on Instagram and Twitter at @Nicole.
Al, the Tratacaster, go ahead, bro.
Yep. So you guys can follow me at Tratacaster101 on Twitter. You can find my pieces over at Hoops Habit, and you can find the podcast Knicks, Jets, etc. on all. Pete, it's okay. I know it's the Jets. I know it's the Jets stuff, Pete. Don't worry. I know. You can find it on all listening platforms. All right, Ashley, P, CP. It was great working with you.
Yes, sir. Absolutely great working with you guys, and salute to everybody in the chat who came through. Over 2,000 people in the chat. Hit that thumbs up button for you boys. You guys already know. I think we're creeping up on 1,000 likes. Let's get to 1,000 likes in the chat before we get out of here. Definitely want to appreciate the panel for coming on. Remember, this show is available in audio podcast format: Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Amazon Alexa, Stitcher, on the Knicks Fan TV. You can't miss it even if you missed the video. Tomorrow night, Knicks versus Pistons. Let's go. Preseason kickoff.
Let's get it going.
I'll be back for the post-game show. My man JL from Nick of Time Show. Let me just salute some of the super chats that came in. Kurt Cobain says, shout out CP and crew. Something is up with Mitch. Kurt Cobain always sending us some super chats from heaven, man. Definitely appreciate it. Louis B says, just want to say thank you for the great coverage during a long off season. Enjoy all the shows, awesome interviews. Let's enjoy the season. Smash that thumbs up button for you boys. Salute, Louis. Definitely appreciate you. Jules Walker sends a 5,000 won. We heavy in South Korea. Chill on Mitch. He's a good kid. He hasn't gotten in trouble after living in NYC for 2 years. Yeah, I think Mitch is gonna be all right, man. I think people kind of overreacting to the Mitch thing. He'll be all right. Michael Parker, #1 fan of the show, says, "Salute Knicks Nation. Salute to the panel. Salute to Taya Clay, my guy out in San Antonio." Says, "If DSJ, Knox, RJ exceed expectations, we'll win 30+ games. Obi icing on the cake. Book it. Don't sleep." RC Creative, appreciate it. Tiger Style, appreciate it. He says, "I'm so hyped, I can't even stand to listen to that bum Robert Randolph streaming. Friday Night Knicks is back." Eric Booker, appreciate it. Eric, much appreciated. Tatum 757, appreciate it. He says DSJ will have a bounce back year. Knox will be a beast though. All right. Gotcha. Open says, "Long-time podcast listener, finally catching live. Keep up the excellent work. Appreciate you guys." So we'll see you guys tomorrow night. Knicks versus Pistons post-game live. Keep it locked, Knicks Fan TV. Hit that thumbs up on the feed boards one more time. Peace.